Hi there, welcome. We are back once again, this time the television superstar from Channel 4. You see him every day. He's the guy that's up here day in, day out, day in, day out. Glen Mills. Glen, thanks for coming.
You bet. Nice to be with you.
What kind of shirt is that? Oh my gosh.
This is a Valentine's Day red plaid shirt.
Wow, it is.
On TV it looks a lot better when I have the coat over it.
So are you allowed to be on TV without a coat? Is this like a first?
Well, out in the field I am, yeah.
You are?
In studio I'll throw the coat on.
Ah, throw it on, huh?
Yeah, the coat's all plain, the shirt's a little wild.
So did
Okay, so when we start off, I've got a couple things to take up with you here. One, we've got a fake lunch here. I can't even eat this sandwich.
Yeah,
and two, this was supposed to start at 1 and it's now 1:05.
Yeah, we're luckily we're not television.
Yeah, this wouldn't go over well in my world. That's
would they
for sure.
start yelling at you? What would happen?
I've never missed slot before, but I'm sure I'd be in trouble, yes.
In your whole life, you've never missed one?
Not one time, never.
Never been a train or never been like a delayed
Okay, hold on,
airplane?
let me think about this. No, never that I can think of.
Well, that's why you're still on the air, I suppose.
Probably.
Huh? Yeah, these are the same fake sandwiches that we had in the first show.
It is cold, at least.
We put them in the refrigerator.
Nice.
Yeah, a little bit. And
cool.
By the way, it says eat by February 1st, so please don't eat it.
All right, I won't eat it.
So anyway, Glen, how long have you been with Channel 4?
I've been with Channel 4 3.5 years. Got here in June 2013.
And before that, you were a reporter, right? This wasn't your first.
I've been an anchor reporter, even did some management at various stations in Idaho, Wisconsin, and Colorado.
Ah. And are we weird or different or unique here? I mean, people say that we're
Well, that's
unique.
what people say, but I'm a Utah boy. I grew up here, so I'm a homeboy. I don't think we're weird in any way. Maybe a little unique, but I love Utah. I love it here, and I'm happy to be back, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
A television career doesn't last long when you go, really, we are weird, and I don't like it here much. I'm just biding my time to get to New York or Chicago. That wouldn't work.
No, that's not me.
Have you known reporters like that, though?
Who just come here for the sake
this is the spot, this is their moment, this is where
I think so. I think there are people that, for Salt Lake, for them, Salt Lake is a stepping stone. But Salt Lake's a good market. We're somewhere in like 33, 34 market size. It's a good place to come, and it's a good career spot. And if you really look at the main anchor positions, there's not a lot of turnover there.
So there was a day a while ago when the anchors made unbelievably big money.
Yeah,
even in Utah.
That day is gone.
I mean, the old days of Patrick Greenlaw and Terry Wood, where they were making middle six kind of figures.
Yeah.
That's all over.
Things have changed a lot that way, that's for sure.
Mm. And why? Where did all those people go? Presumably that's just because there's less people watching.
Well, there's less. That's because the pie keeps getting the pieces of the pie keep getting smaller and smaller, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there are so many more journalist organizations today than there were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so, you used to, 20 years ago or so, there used to be the main networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and the local affiliates were pretty much the only thing going. Then you got cable, all the web-based organizations now. I mean, almost today with cell phones and social media, everyone's a journalist.
Wow.
So that's why you've kind of seen that change quite a bit.
So, when have you done a story and is there some where, maybe a few people comment on it, but is there ever just a story you do that reminds you of the impact of television and you just feel this whoosh of feedback and of kind of this stuff that comes to you because you've done a story?
Anytime I've done a story on President Trump, it gets a lot of attention and a lot of feedback. So that kind of has an impact in the way you're talking, but some of my favorite stories are like one I did last Friday on the Beaver County Commissioners. They came up here and signed a resolution taking a stand against domestic violence. I was able to, and that that declaration, they're now challenging every other county in the state of Utah to follow suit and make a similar declaration. But the great part about that story to me was that resolution in Beaver County was inspired by a survivor, and she was up here for that signing. And so I was able to talk to her and really center the story around her and her experience, how she got out of an abusive relationship, and now she's working to lift others out of the same abuse that she used to suffer with. And those really remind me of the impact of television, being able to tell those stories.
If you don't tell that story, then it doesn't get told. I mean, it gets told a little bit, but I mean, it's not big news up here, whatever's happening in Beaver.
True.
All right. Well, look, get over here, Cannon. Come here. Get on.
I stay behind this camera.
Oh, so
I like it behind the camera.
My favorite lobbyist is back there, and he's a little shy, but
he doesn't
hi, John,
want to come
how
on
are
the
you?
camera.
Shake hands at least.
Absolutely shake hands.
Okay.
I like it behind the camera.
All right, see, there's the hand. I'll tell you who he is in a minute. Good guy. See you later. John Cannon with LDS Church. Good guy. All right, so, but that's my point.
What about the story we did today?
There's a little bit of story. There's no real story there. Nobody else picked up on it. Nobody told it. You make it. You put it on, and suddenly it's news, and it changes people's lives. That's good.
What about the story we're working on today that you participated in? Senator Adams' bill that would repeal language prohibiting the talk of homosexuality in public schools.
Yeah, that was thank you for covering that. It's a terrible, terrible part of Utah law, and if things go well, and there's no guarantee they will, they're going to take out a prohibition. They call it the No Promo Homo bill, which means a teacher can be fired, or worse, prosecuted for talking to a gay kid about issues in the child's life, and that the withdrawal of that from state law will help, because we have a terrifically high suicide rate, and a lot of those kids are LGBT.
Yeah. So today I talked with yourself, Senator Adams, and Gail Ruzicka of the Eagle Forum, putting all of those interviews together for that story. It'll air tonight at 6 o'clock. But I'll tell you one thing, even the most conservative senators that I'm talking to say, while they may disagree with it morally, they're going to support the bill and vote for it because they think it needs to happen.
Well, see, that's cool. If you've got some questions for Glen, then go ahead, come on. Clay Anderson says, still with the alternative sandwich? Yeah. Suzanne Christine Summerow says, talk about public lands, and how do you cover public lands? I mean, that's a hard...
Yeah. So
like budget issues, and these issues are hard to just cover.
Yeah. Well, the budget issue part of it is hard to do a television story on. I have a minute 30 to tell a story that could take hours, really, right? So, I mean, I really just try to focus on what's happening and what the impact will be. And of course, when we're talking public lands, there are a lot of emotions on both sides of the issue. So basically, the approach I always try to take is make sure to tell all sides of the story, and then it's up to my viewer to decide which side they agree with.
Is it ever okay for you to tell your opinions on issues?
No, I don't think so.
Because I don't know your personal opinions. I mean, we've known each other a while, and when I was at Channel 4 a lot, and I don't know if you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever.
I mean, obviously I am who I am, right? I have my core values, I have my beliefs and opinions, but when it comes to work, you leave them at the door.
Gail Ruzicka, hi, how are you? Gail,
the tables are turned here. We were just talking about you, by the way.
Yeah. All right.
I hate to interrupt the back of what you're doing.
That's the famous Gail Ruzicka.
So where were we? Oh yeah. My approach is to just leave my opinion at the door. Try to collect as much information I can from the multiple sides of an issue, and then present it in an unbiased way.
What's the best way for a political organizer to get their message to a television reporter? Yeah.
Well, we get bombarded by email, so that's not the best way. really the best way is to have more of a personal relationship. I'm more likely to respond to a text than I am an email, just because we get so many of them, and it's hard to, determine which ones are legit and which ones aren't. But just having a personal relationship and keeping in touch with and keeping reporters informed on what you're working on, I would say is the best way. But you got to have issues that people are going to be interested in as well. And the one thing I'll always say is the personal side of the story, in a television sense anyway, is the greatest hook. Like, to bring back the Beaver County Commissioner story example back, what makes that story most impactful from a television standpoint is that it has a true story of someone who went through that experience, and our viewers are able to connect with that person a lot more.
So if you've got, like we had recently, 10,000 women here, you would cover that. I mean,
Absolutely.
You did cover that.
Yeah.
If it's 5,000 women, you don't cover it? Or where do you decide, okay, we're going to send a crew out? Or where is it 20 women?
Okay,
Or
that's a fair question.
Where do you,
Honestly,
how do you know?
a lot of it has to do with our resources for the day and what other potential stories are going on that day. That march on the Capitol, that would have been covered regardless because of, it drew so many people here for one, and it was something that our viewers were interested in. But there could be stories that we would have covered had other things not been going on that day.
So look for really a bad news day where things are slow would be one of the things. I mean, you got a better shot of being on TV.
I hate to say it, but yeah, I mean, that definitely plays a role.
Friday, they used to say, if you really want to bury something, you do it Friday afternoon, because,
But in Utah, at least on our station in Utah, people watch on Friday night. We know that.
So not necessarily true in Utah.
Right.
And what about, are certain days better than others, as a general rule?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's all about urgency, like what's happening right now and when, I think.
So with Tuesday afternoon and a Thursday afternoon, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Monday morning.
I mean, one Monday could be busy as could be, and then the next one could be slow as can be. You just never really know.
Because I'm trying to build you as organizers, and this is the inside information, how to get your stuff going at the right time, at the right moment. So, but I was going back to what you said. Mm-hmm. So if you're presenting whatever you're presenting, getting a human face on it, not just 10,000 anonymous people, but people with a story that you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
personal story in television is very important, for sure.
Let me pitch you a story, and I don't know,
Okay.
I don't quite know what to do with this, but during a recent tour of the homeless youth shelter, I met a young man whose name was Moses, and I said to him, "I'm going to get you a job." Mm-hmm. This is a bright, personable. I mean, there's no reason why Moses, who's living at the homeless shelter, shouldn't have a job, at least an entry thing in fast food or something. Mm-hmm. So now I want to go to somebody like Lane Beatty at the Chamber, or go to somebody that runs a McDonald's franchise and say, "All right, will you give this kid a job?" Is that ever a story? When does that become a story? How would that be?
Homelessness, the homeless issue is huge right now with the talk about all the shelters and whatnot, and that I think that could definitely be a story in that it puts that personal touch and the face to the homeless issue here in the state of Utah. I mean, yeah, I would definitely consider that. Obviously, the next few weeks I'm kind of tied up here at the state capitol, but I think that could potentially be a great story and face to the homeless situation.
But I think what you said is important for anybody who has information that they want to get out there beyond the social media to the the old traditional media. Do you take any umbrage at President Trump's? Of course, you're not covering the president day to day, but
right.
he just has this contempt sometimes that he just flies into about the media. Does it bother you when that happens?
Well, as you mentioned, I mean, we're the local media. We're still, we're doing our job here locally. But I certainly think that breaking from tradition of traveling with the press corps and meeting with the press on a regular basis can certainly be dangerous, and that would apply to any president that's been in power. There's a tradition there, and a strong tradition, and it's there for a reason.
Were you kind of a nerdy kid? I mean, did you watch the news when you were like 14 or 15? Were you
A lot
interested
younger
in
than that. I remember elementary school having a priority of watching the news and keeping up what was going on in my
It
community.
was such a bad situation. I was the same way.
Is that nerdy though?
Yeah.
Come on, that's
yeah.
not nerdy, is it?
It's pretty nerdy. Yeah. So you like that? I mean, because I see television reporters in particular in a couple of camps. There are those that just can't go along without scrolling through to CNN. You know, they just need to know what's happening. And then I see some that are just like, you know, doing their hair, and it's a job, and they're there, and they do their story, but they're not quite sure what a city commissioner is, because compared to a county commissioner, and it's just not their, you know, their kind of thing.
I've always had an interest in news and specifically politics. When I was a student at the University of Utah, we did a news break program, and I was assigned to the Capitol. So I have an old VHS tape from the mid-'90s of stories I did with lawmakers here on Capitol Hill.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. If you go back and ask a lot of my close friends, they'll tell you that I'm doing exactly what I told them I was going to do 30 years ago.
Are you going to go run off to Washington and be a spokesman for somebody and make you know, a lot more money and work less hours and have a cushy job?
I don't know about less hours going and being a spokesperson for someone in Washington, right?
Well, Mia Love, I mean, she never speaks. How hard could it be, you know, to...
I really have an awesome situation at Channel 4, and I love it there.
And Sunday mornings, you have the premier local talk show. I mean, really, it's the place where everybody goes who's into politics at all. It's on every single Sunday morning at 8:30. 8.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. And you will be on this Sunday.
With guess who, you guys?
Should we say it?
Can we say it?
Yeah, let's say it. Speaker Hughes.
Speaker Hughes and I, tete-a-tete, boom, boom, boom.
And he's mad at you right now.
He's always...
What did you do?
He's always angry at me. You know, I don't know, one thing or another. I think I said his suit didn't go with his tie, and you know, it's one thing or another with Hughes. You know, and he's a boxer, and he tries, you know, sometimes.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great segment.
I do like the speaker. We'll be there Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. Channel 4, and then every night watching. Glenn, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun.
Cover up that Valentine's
Are you going to buy me a
Day
real
jacket.
sandwich now?
Yeah, we'll do that, right? Nick will buy you a sandwich.
I'm just teasing. I don't need a sandwich.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Join us tomorrow, right here, right at 1 o'clock, sharp.